All right, we're back. The second episode of the 603 Real Estate Pod. I had to look at the screen to figure out what I called it because that's really not the name. But we're talking real estate today. I'm here with Josh Winn from Realty One Group. Thanks for coming in, Josh. My first guest was an older real estate agent. It's been around probably a decade longer than you have. But I was very happy that both of you responded because I was like, that's two very opposite vibes that I'm going to get. And the topic I really wanted to address was I see so many times different stats of how often people fail in real estate, how quickly people are in and out of the business. And my kind of hypothesis, one of the other guys here at Home Choice made fun of me for using the term hypothesis, but is that people are being steered towards the wrong things. There's all this like, you got to make seven figures. You got to build a big team. You got to take your money and reinvest it, which those are all great things. But I think there's so many people that could make a nice six-figure income and be super happy, really help a lot of people. And I'm looking for agents that don't do all this. We got to go into this coaching program and spend the money on Zillow leads and do all the, cold call all day or whatever it is. And you can do part of that or whatever. But I'm looking for people who march to the beat of their own drum, run their business their own way in a way that makes them good money and makes them happy, because I think so many people just see this formula that they're told that they have to do, and then they can't live up to that, and then they just disappear. They do 2 or 3 sales, and they're gone. And you're a guy, you're 3 years in now?
I'll be, my 4th year will be done in February, so I'll be going into year 5.
So you're almost at that. The 5-year mark was magic for me because the 5-year mark was magic for me because that was the thing that everybody, 87% of people fail within the first 5 years, right? So getting past 5 was like huge. Obviously, you're not going to fail. You're like a 30 deal a guy, 30 deal a year guy. Yeah. You did like 12 million this year, or almost 13. You told me, so you're doing fine. 3 years in, and I just watched you. We met on a transaction years ago. You were selling a condo in Hudson. My client purchased it, and what struck me is there was something in the bathroom, some paint that was messed up or something. Yeah. It was the only complaint she had about the whole place. And you're like, I'll paint it, no problem. Like you just went and did it. And it's like, we need more of that. And that's what I think doing things like that makes people successful. So I'm going to throw it over to you to tell me, what are your philosophies and what do you do to build your business, to find more business and do it in a way? Nick, when you walked out to make coffee, Nick's like, I've never seen a happier guy. Like, you're like happy all the time. You're doing real estate the way you want to do it, living the life you want to live. And so just how did you get there? What are the things you've done that have made you successful and be able to live the life you want to live?
Yeah, well, speaking to like the team dynamic that you said, I think for a lot of people,
we didn't mention that on the podcast.
Yeah, or the like being a solo agent.
I did mention. I'm sorry, I did bring that up.
I'm like, wait, did I just dream?
We talked about it before, so I forgot about it. Or maybe I talked about it on the last episode because, truthfully, we're doing 2 episodes in one day.
Yeah, we're back to back.
I mean, everybody's gonna say I'm wearing the same clothes. So.
Yeah, I love it. But I think a lot of people get into real estate with the idea that they want to be their own boss, like you said, you want to like beat your own drum type of thing. And I think you can easily get sucked into this trap where like, oh, it's really hard. I don't have the money to buy leads. I'm going to join a team. Now the team is basically like the boss of your old job. But at your old job, like at least I was in medical sales, I had health benefits and dental and vision. I didn't make a big base salary, but there were benefits to having a boss. A lot of people get into real estate, they're giving away 50% to their team lead and they have no benefits, not even the brand recognition.
Right.
So even with my beanie beside me here, when I started in real estate, I said, there's no point in me being like at XYZ Realty on the Smith team and my brand is sold by Winn, and my name is Josh. I'm like, I don't want to be diluted 4 times down. So I said, you know what? I found an office where I felt confident I could grow my personal brand. I've always made it about me. Some people think that's not humble or conceited. Or, whenever something works, people have something to say about it. And I'm like, I named my brand after me. I don't think that's a narcissistic thing to do.
No.
But
a Johnson & Johnson, like Walmart is the Waltons, everybody,
like everyone did it. I got that idea from somebody else.
Henry Ford,
it's not
exactly.
And I think a big thing that I've always talked about with my business is that you don't need to be liked by everybody. A lot of people think that the whole purpose of social media is just to get likes and engagement. And for me, the point of social media is to get clients who want to work with me. And just because you have a couple thousand followers doesn't mean I want to work with a couple thousand people. You and I could not physically work with, like, maybe if we had like 8 people, we could do 80 deals a year, 100 deals a year. We can't do thousands of deals a year.
No.
And I don't really want to do any more than 30 deals a year. Because I think your quality of life after 30 or 40 deals, it gets kind of...
Very true.
It goes down, you know? So I tell people, I'm like, hey, I want to work with you if you want to work with me. If you don't, there are plenty of other options. I don't want to work with people who are second guessing me. Just like people won't get into they won't get into a relationship if they feel like their partner's second guessing them. So why do you treat your business any different? I want people who are super enthusiastic to work with me. And by doing this, I don't mind painting the deck. I don't mind ordering a dumpster. I'll go out of my way because I'm not paying a referral fee. And it's mostly my friends, their referrals, and my family.
And both of us, actually, 2 different brokerages, but we both work on a flat fee commission structure where you're not losing a percentage. So it's like, if that commission check's $20,000, you're paying the same thing to your brokerage, right? So I always say that too. It's like, even if I give up some of my commission to help a client or to help a deal go through, I'm still making more than some people are making at some of these big brands that are all
because
right in this area.
Say you're at a big brokerage, you're paying 38% referral fee to Op City, and then your office is split, and people think like, Josh is crazy.
They're 38% now.
Yeah.
They kicked me off because I didn't give their updates.
Oh, I'm not on it
days.
either. I got kicked off a long time ago, but my peers and stuff, they're like, usually it's like 35%, but if it's like a platinum referral, it's 38. So you're doing 38% referral fee, then your office fee. But people will laugh at me because they're like, oh, Josh is only charging his clients like 2% for buyers, and he's pitching in 500. I'm like, I'm making 2 times what you're making because you're giving everyone else all your money. Yeah. If you focus on your own brand, you make a little bit more, but like people don't really know how it works, I feel like.
Well, I'll never understand, too, when people, shit on somebody for giving up some of their commission or putting their own money into a transaction, because it's like you're just investing in your business. Yeah. It's like I gave up a large chunk commission a few years ago because we couldn't get the seller to do anything after inspection. The house did have a bunch wrong with it. My client was going to back out, and I was like, you know what? This is the right house for you. Yeah. I'm going to just help you out and get it done. And I've worked with his daughter on 3 transactions. I've worked with his son. Like this, I have the referrals from this whole family because I gave up, a good chunk of my commission that one time. I've invested back in my business. If you're comfortable giving Zillow your money, you should be comfortable giving your client your money. Yeah.
Check this one out. So there was a 4 family that sat in the market for a while with another agent. The seller, who I met at a bar a while ago, he messaged me on Instagram and was like, hey, do you have any buyers for me? And I'm like, you know what? I actually have somebody who I think would be perfect. And my buyer ended up getting the property. I was basically negotiating with the seller the whole time. The agent kind of took a backseat role. And at one point, she's like, I don't know how we're going to keep it together. And looking back, because at the closing table, she made 4% plus a transaction fee, and I made 2%. And the seller contacted me on Instagram. So the seller procured the buyer. So she probably made 4.2%. And she was telling me, like a stalemate, Josh, there's nothing I could do here to keep this deal together. And I'm like, she made almost $30,000 and I made 12. And I'm not going to be the guy to complain. I'm not going to go on TikTok and cry about making 12 grand. But the fact that she made 2.5 times what I did.
TikTok hates you anyway.
Yeah. They hate me for sure. But the fact that the person with all the power to keep the deal together is like, absolutely not. I would never. Yeah. Someone making more than double what you're making say that they'd never compromise their commission on a deal. And I'm like, well, I'm piecing together this whole deal for 45% of what you're making,
right. Yeah, it doesn't make any sense to me when people.
But who's going to get the repeat business? Both the seller and the buyer said that they'll be using me in the future. Right.
Yeah, it just doesn't make sense not to do it for that exact reason, you know? So you said something a little bit ago. You compared, clients to a relationship.
Yeah.
And then you just talked about you met somebody in a bar. Now, you have gone on social media and talking a lot lately about your average age of your buyer. So that all kind of ties in together to me. Was like, okay, you're how old? You're
27.
27. You're only 27. So you're the people you vibe with are going to be in their mid-20s or early 30s, and you're going out. You're going to the GOAT. Shout out to the GOAT.
Shout out the GOAT.
And you're meeting all these people and you're forming relationships with them. Speak a little more. You kind of touched on it, but speak a little more on the building these relationships rather than buying leads or buying everything. Like, what do you find that does for you and your business?
First thing I need to say is like there are some guys and girls in my office who are like 20, 21 years old. I started when I was 24. I felt really young then. And they aren't really at an age where their peers are buying a house.
Yeah.
When I was 24, I'm like, are my peers really going to buy a house? And I'm just like, wow, they really are ready. But being 27, 3 years from 30, my high school reunion, 10-year reunion is going to be next year. My peers can no longer look at me and say, it doesn't make sense to buy a house. And I'm like, dude, maybe if you were 24 or 22 or 20, but dude, you're almost 30. It is more than time.
Yeah.
And I've been saying the same thing for 5 years.
Yeah.
And I think my marketing works because like I'm never going to pressure you to buy, but I think that everyone is really affected by herd mentality. Whether it be when to get off your parents' phone plan, when to go to college. Like a lot of people feel peer pressured not to take a gap year in college just because their friends are going right into it, you know? So I tell you guys, I'm like, hey, just so you know, you might not feel like buying a house. Everyone kind of is right now.
Yeah.
You know? And I think the bar stuff works because I say, hey, I want to be, and that's the only reason why I go places where it makes sense for me ROI wise. I do go to have fun, but people are like, oh, Josh Winn just goes to the GOAT and hangs out. Like he's not practicing what he preaches. I go there because I've had a billboard outside for 4 years. Yeah. Like it's not for no reason. Like I meet clients at the GOAT.
And you've only had one mustache drawn on you in that whole time, right?
Yes. Yep. One little graffiti time. So, but yeah, the relationships matter to me because there are a lot of agents who target like boomer clients or older clients. And I'm like, you know what? Like, I don't want to be your one-stop shop. I work with a lot of sellers who just bought a house with another realtor a couple of years ago. Why are they calling me?
Yeah.
So you'd think my first reaction is thank you. My first reaction in my head is, what did that agent do wrong? So I want to create this natural relationship with my clients. I think that clients who have never owned a house, so first-time buyers, are the people who are most grateful for you getting them into the game. And those are the people who are going to turn into 3 or 4 or 5-time buyers with you. So after helping just about 70 first-time home buyers in the past 3.5 years, a lot of them next year are saying, Josh, I'm 27, 28, and I'm ready to buy my second house and sell my first house. Yeah. You know,
or so I just into an investment, or
Whereas I don't want people to look at the news because the news is saying all the time now the median age for a first-time home buyer is 38. I don't want people to get sucked into, I don't want to say the lies of the news, but the reality and the context.
I mean, that one's factual, but it's telling the story that
it's telling the story of the reality of a person that they don't want to be.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah. So if you're going to believe everything that you see on the news because it's generally true, like the weather is generally the same outside as you see on the news, if people are going to believe that they should only get a house at 38, I want to tell them every day as often as I can that the reality doesn't need to be like that for you, and it hasn't been like that in my business since it began. You know, so if you want to create a long-term relationship with me, if you want me to like look out for you, if you want to get into the market sooner, you can't rewind the clock, but you can hire somebody who generally gets people into a house sooner. And if you, by all means, want to be the 38-year-old first-time home buyer or later, that can be you. People I care about, I don't want them to wait that long. I don't mind being, who is it? Like, is it Batman or Bane? I don't mind being the bad guy in everyone's story. You know, if I'm the guy that bullied them a little bit online and they got into a house 9 or 10 years sooner than they would have if they didn't see my story, I win.
Yeah, I think some tough love is okay. Like it's okay to say the truth that you believe, even if it is going to hurt somebody's feelings, because sometimes they need to hear it.
Yeah. What if what if your daughter's like 18 and she can't ride a 2-wheeler?
We have that problem. She will not get on a friggin' bike. Yeah. But anyway.
You got time.
She's scooter, skateboard, snowboard, won't get on a bike. I don't know what her deal is.
One day. One
day. So I might have that problem.
Yeah. The anomaly.
But so I saw what you were doing so quickly and so rapidly and doing a lot of business. And you're not the only one, but you're one that I would compare myself to. And I'm like, okay, I'm like 3 years ahead of this dude. Why is he doing like as much as me already? And I remember when we met the year prior, or if it was that year, if it was the end of the year, I don't remember the timing, but I had just done like 30 in a year. And like, that's going to be me next year. And it's like one of those things, you hear it all the time. And it's like, just kind of rolling.
And I was like fixed on that 30 number. I put it as my phone background. I'm like 30 deals, 30 deals. But like the first time hitting it, you're like, okay, cool.
But then it's like you did it, and it's like, okay, then I should be doing 40, 50, 60. So I have to stop myself from doing this all the time, but I compare myself to others. I'm like, I'm different life than you. I'm married with a kid. Like, I put my kid first over real estate quite a lot. Mm-hmm. You don't have to do that. Yeah. So. You ever get sucked into that comparing yourself to others thing? Does that ever get you a little upset or fired up, jealous?
So I have like a love-hate relationship with the saying that comparison is the thief of joy, because in some contexts it is, in some it isn't. But there's a book called "Choose Your Enemies Wisely" by Patrick Bet-David, and he talks about an enemy versus a competitor, and it kind of helped me like reframe what I thought about the two. So a competitor is someone, like you think competitors big, bad, and scary. A competitor would be someone like you. It shows me where I am in relationship to the marketplace.
Right.
Just like some of the colleagues in my office, just like some of the other people out there. An enemy is someone who maybe doesn't want to see you win, or someone who elicits like a response in you that makes you want to crush them or work really hard.
Yeah.
So most agents out there, I see them as competitors. It shows me where I am in the market. Like you just said, if you're doing this and I'm doing this, you want to be doing that. Yeah. And we just do that. And then an enemy is someone you absolutely want to crush.
I finally got to the point where I don't care.
Yeah.
It took me 7 years.
Yeah.
And now I'm like, whatever, go do more. I don't.
Yeah.
Because now I know, like my best year I think was 34. It's like, I know how hard you're working to do 34. Like, I think people that have never done it before, they look at it and they go, well, lucky them. It's like, you don't know.
Just like I look at 50 and I'm like, I'm going to be hating my life if I do 50,
One of your mentors, Pete, was a 60-a-year guy for a long time, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's a crazy thing to do. I mean, we both know Richie. He does crazy numbers. Hannah Zona. Like some of these people you look at, it's like
crushing it.
How do you you have the same 24 hours as me?
Yeah.
How are you doing it? But now I'm just like, good. I used to be like, I need to get there. Why am I not doing that? What's wrong with me? Now I look at it as I don't want to do that. I think like 25 to me is like a magic number. Yeah. 25 a year will give me the lifestyle I want. And it's not that hard. Like it's not like stressful level hard at 25. It's little over 2 deals a month. And it's a good pace to be on. Once you start, you said it earlier, once you start to hit that over 30 mark, it's a lot.
Well, the thing is, you aren't, and like, I love and respect the agents that you mentioned as well, but to get past 30, you're no longer, like my business model would have to change. Currently, like I am only working with people who seek me out to be their agent. Like it's organic. Even like to appear higher on Google, it's just getting reviews and people are choosing me. Versus Zillow and Realtor and Trulia, like they're all just distributing leads. So like we said, we would go ahead and paint and put up like handrails near stairs or do all this stuff for the clients that we love and we care about. But now I'm paying a bunch for a lead or I'm paying a big referral fee and I need to treat them like I would treat one of my really good friends and clients. So it's like to get past that 30, I'm gonna have to start paying money hand over fist to get leads to work with people who might not want to work with me.
Right.
And it's like you can work 50 hours a week for people you care about to work with people who don't even know if they want to work with you. That's where like my social battery will run out. My battery doesn't run out for my current clients, but if I was working with 20 more people that I paid to work with me. The thing is, just like we talked about earlier, people will like chastise us for losing $500 on a deal, but they'll applaud you for spending $1,500 to get that Zillow client to work with you. Yeah. And I'm like, I'm not like a big like rat race, big machine guy. I'm like, I would really have to indulge into what everyone else is doing in order to do those deals. And like, as like, a 27-year-old single guy with 2 properties and 2 cats who I have a litter robot, so they're getting taken care of. Like,
you have what robots?
A litter robot. So it like recycles the shit for you. I've seen those, Like, what do I even need $200,000 for?
Right.
Yeah. Like, I'm not like it's not like Jay-Z when he started, I really need to hustle. It's like, I have basically everything I need, so I need to. I've been teaching myself to calm down.
Your income is for your age is in the 1%.
Like selling more houses or making more money would just be for clout because I don't really. I'll find a place to put it. But
it's also
it's not like I'm taking care of some kid.
You're changing your business model. You're operating differently. You're probably not getting as much internal joy from the way you're helping people. You're not helping them in the same way. And then your level of service to your clients is going down, so they're not repeating business. So then it starts the cycle of now I have to keep finding new business. Yeah. It's like the one we did in Goffstown together, my listing. You had the buyer. I probably wouldn't have accepted that offer, or I wouldn't have encouraged. It's not my call. I wouldn't have encouraged the buyer, the seller, to accept that offer. Had it not been somebody like you and Matt McDonald from Cascade Mortgage, like I know you two. I know both of you are going to do whatever it takes to get the thing done. Yeah. And because of that, your buyer got the house. Yeah. Whereas like if you're just one of these agents that's just trying to churn out numbers, I'm going to go, I don't know that we're actually going to get to the closing table, because if this gets challenging, which it did a little bit. Yeah.
But like my blood pressure never got raised. I'm like,
no. Mine really doesn't anymore. Yeah. It's funny. Like, it used to be.
Oh, in the beginning,
like, I would fly off the handle, not be able to sleep at night. It's like, who was I? There's this guy, Joe, in my office, Joe Lassard. He's a full-time UPS driver, but he's a few years away from a pension, and he wants to do real estate as kind of his retirement job. Yeah. He's not going to leave UPS and give up his pension. But he started to get rolling now. And he was like, no, wait a minute. It wasn't Joe. It was another dude in my office, Sean, actually.
Eastgate or Home Choice?
Eastgate. Yeah, Sean, actually. He has a whole other business. He does horse ferrying. I think I had another story for Joe. That's why I brought him up. Sean does horse ferrying. That's changing the horseshoes on horses. He's got a full-time.
Like all the TikToks. I've seen all those.
Yeah. I got sucked into after I met him. I got sucked into them for a while. I didn't look it up. It just happened. Yeah. But yeah, he does that full time, and he has very thriving business doing that. Does a few deals real estate wise. But I don't know. I was telling him about some stressful thing that was happening in real estate. He's like, "You're so calm about this." I'm like, yeah, dude, I do this every day. Like, if I wasn't, like, he won't be calm if he has a problem, because he doesn't do it every day. But I'm like, I'm doing this every day. If I don't, I'm gonna have a heart attack.
Your body and your mind definitely like get used to it.
Yeah, for sure.
And the big thing is like, if it's not this house, and that's where it goes back to relationships. If it's not this house, if this is not the right house for them, and they're committed to you, they'll buy another house with you.
Yeah. The only one that really still gets me now is if it's a situation where somebody's not going to have a place to live. Yeah. Like, and I've never had somebody like out on the streets, but sometimes they're going to get a hotel or stay with family or whatever. Yeah. That's the only one where I'm like, and it's outside of I can't fix it. There's nothing I can do to fix it. Those are the only ones where I'm like, I have a hard time sleeping thinking about that. But I've even got better at that.
You can sleep through anything now.
Right, yeah. Well, I mean, you were living in the hood of Manchester for a bit, so you get
fire department was 2 blocks away, like Hemi trucks driving by. Yeah. My cats were like they were like conditioned to like they were just hearing random crap all the time.
My daughter, the other day, we moved from Manchester into Bow 3 years ago. My daughter was like, she's like, she was talking about how she remembered how loud Manchester was. She's like, it was so loud there.
And you never notice it, like, unless you think about it. Like, if you've lived there for a while.
Yeah. But I had a hard time. Moving to Bow, I had a hard time.
Like, stimulation-wise? Do you have, like, a long driveway type thing?
Super long driveway. Yeah. Last house in the development.
Cul-de-sac.
Just vacant land on both sides of me. Like, it was so quiet there at first that it gave me anxiety to have it be that quiet.
Yeah, and it's the piece you talk about, like, working towards, that we've always put on the pedestal, and we're like, wow, like, coming from like such like a dopamine craving industry that's always like high stimulation, high risk, high reward, to finally get to that peaceful like mountaintop.
I love it now. Yeah, I love it now, but there were like the beginning. It was weird for me. I couldn't. I had a hard time for like a year.
Oh, I bet.
Used to being out there. Now,
I'm just getting used to the condo.
Right. It's you're out of the nitty gritty of Manchester now a little bit, like just on the edge of it.
And it's like I'm only like a mile and a half away from where my multi was, but the north end's better than like Central Manch. And
Manchester changes block to block. Like,
oh yeah.
People are always like, "Is this a good neighborhood?" And I'm like, I don't know. Like, let me
drive by
6 blocks like around, because it's like it can change so fast.
But yeah, my tenant who had lived there for 20 years, she calls me like when she's ready to give me her money orders. It's usually like the third of the month. She's like, "How you doing over there? Like, you bored yet?" And I'm like,
"Bored? Yeah, you moved a mile and a half away."
And I'm like, you know what? Like I can resonate with what you're talking about. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you see the river right from your property?
So mine's on the city facing side, not the river facing side. Gotcha. But it's interesting because like the higher the floor and facing river or not, well, like the prices will vary.
Oh yeah, I remember you made a post about that. Yeah. Like it was like a huge difference between one that was facing the river and what you paid for yours. Right?
I think I'm 7th floor city facing, and then 8th floor river facing was like $90,000 more. It was on the market for
I think we just doxed you in this conversation.
Yeah.
Because like that's enough information in Manchester. That narrows it down to like 4 buildings.
Yeah, they got me.
I can believe it if you need.
No, you're good. But like I don't think it ever sold either. And it's like we aren't overlooking like Central Park here. Like let's get reasonable. Like you're looking at 293 in the Merrimack River. Like you aren't taking a swim in there, are you?
Yeah, right.
You know?
Right. Yeah.
The sky is the only thing. Like you like seeing that at sunset, but like I get like a lot of natural light on the other side in the morning when I need to get up. So,
yeah, I if I was single, I would 100. Matt Graves has the one right on the river.
He's right across the street.
And like if I stayed single, that would have been my goal. Like a waterfront in Manchester, like. Yeah, they have boat slips there, don't they? Like you can.
I think they do.
You can dock a boat right
across
there.
the street from me.
Yeah, it's like just get on a boat and go down the river and then come home and you can go downtown to a bar. Like it's like the best of both worlds.
Oh yeah.
So it's funny. I had Kevin Cooper in here earlier. We were talking about like he's not a flashy guy. Yeah. He's always a jeans and t-shirt kind of guy. And we talked about kind of the image that realtors like to have, and I see that fancy watch on your wrist there. I've seen you drive some nice cars and stuff. Post some high-end dinners and stuff like that. What do you feel about the people in New Hampshire and what they see when they see us like touting our wealth and doing things like that? Because I always kind of think, I'm like, that's not what the people here want.
Yeah.
They're looking at us like, they just want to buy. They don't want to help me. They just want to buy another Rolex, buy another BMW. What do you think the role in images? And I've seen you go through some iterations of that. I remember you bought that really nice car when you first started hitting it big, and then you moved to a pickup truck with your wrap on it, and you were like, oh, cool, I can help people move now. I can move trash out of places. So. What do you think the role of that kind of imagery is, and what do you feel about it? What do you think the client, the consumer thinks about it?
Yeah, so when I had like the C300 like starter Benz, I noticed people right away, especially clients that I didn't know, like they're meeting me for the first time. The second I got that when I was like 24, 25, they stopped asking how old I was or how long I was in the industry. So I liked it. So we always learn in school, like, don't judge a book by its cover, but clearly I found a way to prevent people from asking me how old I was or how much experience I had. Yeah. And because I had the same or more hustle and energy and availability than everyone else, I just had to nip the age thing in the butt. I'm like, okay, cool, I got that car. Yeah. Then I started selling a lot of houses, and I was starting to think that maybe people thought that I like made too much. So I'm like, okay, let's get the truck, let's get back into the trenches, like fixing the multi, stuff like that. But then it didn't have the same. It just didn't have the same effect. So it's like I thought people wouldn't want me to have the Benz, and I get into the truck, and they thought it was like a financial decision, and I'm like, huh. So then I got back into Benz again, and it's like the same treatment. Yeah. And it's like people who say they won't treat you differently, they kind of do a little bit. And I think, what was I gonna say? the biggest thing is, like my broker Pete says, he's like, no one cares that they're paying their lawyer a lot and he drives like a Rolls Royce.
Yeah.
Or like something crazy. He's like, if I'm on death row, I want my lawyer to be driving up in something good. If you see your lawyer driving up in a Prius, what are you going to be saying?
I think we get vilified, though, as real estate agents rather than, because it's a 40-hour class.
Yeah.
Everyone, like,
the
percentage of people
low.
that have gotten into real estate is so high, and it's kind of looked at like a joke. And some of the agents that currently work actively make it a joke sometimes, you know? So, cell phone pictures on listings and, stuff like that. It's like, so I think we get more shame for it than somebody like a lawyer who went to school for 10 years or whatever it was, had to work their way up through a partnership or whatever. So I think I get some of that. But.
Once that like 27 or 28-year-old couple who's expecting a baby hires you and needs you to beat out 15 offers and win, that person doesn't give a damn what I'm driving.
Yeah, when you're done, almost everyone thinks you got paid what you deserve.
Exactly. And then the business that I'm doing, where I've helped just about 100 clients now, and I'm going to start to have a lot more like repeat business, people like selling and stuff. I earned their business before, and I'm just maintaining the relationship since then, So a lot of these people have kind of been with me from the beginning, so they know kind of what the deal is. And I feel like the person who really wants the house is not going to care that you're getting compensated for doing their job. Yeah. I guess if it were an easier market where you didn't need to be so hungry and gritty to succeed, I think it would be different. And here's the thing. It's not every agent who's acting flashy. It's the agent who actually saw the houses.
That's true.
I
don't know if that's true. I do see some of these people pull up in Mercedes and sell about one or two a year.
Some of the ladies are like dipping into their husband's Amex Platinum card and
putting. You're going to get us canceled for sexism.
Ladies or men.
Yeah.
A lot of people will come from like their previous job with like.
For the record, my wife made more than me last year and the year before. So
shout out to her. But like you see someone pull up with like a Lincoln from their other job and they say like they're the real estate expert, and I'm like, you've actually never sold a house.
Yeah.
We don't need to go down that rabbit hole.
Well, I'll go down that rabbit hole because one of the first things I do when I start to have a hard time with an agent is look up their sales.
Yeah.
And see how many they've done. And it's almost every time it's somebody that has done less than 5 years deals a year for 20 years. Mm-hmm. And it's like, okay, well, this is why you don't know anything, but you
got to talk slower.
Everything.
You got to be like,
yeah.
So I'm sending over an addendum.
Yeah.
Or agents who are licensed in like one state versus the other. I've had like mass agents who are like, can you like send me a purchase and sales agreement? I'm like, you don't have the forms? I'm like, do you need help writing this up?
You know how many people, I just had that listing in Hampstead, how many people asked for Title V on it? And I'm like,
crazy.
Does not exist in the state.
Yeah.
How do you not know? It's one of the major differences between the two
no
states.
No smoke cert, no Title V.
Yeah. How do you not know that? And it's like, I'm glad I was licensed in Massachusetts at one point. Yeah. I'm not anymore, but I was like, I wouldn't even know what Title V was.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what are these people asking me
It's
about?
good when you're on like something like Hampstead or Plastow, like near the border, Because most of those agents is probably like Lamakia coming up, you know?
It was 100% when it was Lamakia. Yep. For sure. So what this is a question that I want to ask consistently as I have more and more New Hampshire guests, even if it's not a real estate theme, is what makes New Hampshire a great place to live for you? What do you love about New Hampshire?
So I started reflecting on this a lot when I became a tour guide at UNH, and I thought it was interesting because UNH is one of the few schools around here where admissions reps or tour guides are unpaid.
Interesting.
So I was given 90-minute tours a couple times a week while studying pre-med, giving free tours. And something I found myself saying all the time was just proximity to everything. You're close
That's what everybody always says.
The beach, Boston, the White Mountains. It's like, what do you like in the White Mountains? Do you like boating on Winnie? Do you like skiing and snowboarding? Do you like going up there for bike week? Do you like being like a leaf peeper? Do you like going to the seacoast for the food, the Portsmouth nightlife, proximity to Boston? You go into a Sox game, Celtics, Encore to gamble,
Yeah.
I don't know what's out in Keene, but I'm sure there's some draws in Keene too.
Yeah.
Pumpkin Festival.
Didn't that get shut down? I was out there when they had the riot that year.
They brought it back.
Oh, really? Yeah, I was out. Actually, I just missed the riot. Like, it was, like, we got, they shuttle you in from, like some parking lot somewhere. We like got off the bus and you could tell like something just happened.
Rattled.
And I was like,
my college friends were at that.
And then I heard about it after. I was like, oh, cool. I was at a riot. Nice. I have other riots that I have been, because I played in a punk rock
that
band.
You incited, maybe?
No, not incited, but was involved. I didn't cause them, but I had to be involved in them.
You were up there, team player.
Just being near one, I guess, isn't really on the resume for me. Yeah, so I think I'm going to end that right there.
Yeah. New Hampshire's a great place to be.
I just started stumbling over words, and I don't want to milk it. But thank you so much for coming in, Josh. We'll have to do it again. I'm going to only do one of these a day from now on. I think I realized you helped me learn a lesson right there.
I like it. Hey, it was good. Next time, we'll share some more real estate horror stories and drama, and I'll hopefully be many months into my vault.
I mean, you're going to be Hulk Hogan size.
I'm going to be massive.
Within 6 months. I know it.
Mark my words, podcast. I'm going to be ripped.
When are you getting on steroids?
Try anything is possible, man.
You got the money.
We'll see what Santa puts
Just
in my
the needle
stocking
in the
this
ass.
year. Yeah, exactly.
Hey, Josh.